Welcome back to Laugh Through the Turbulence. We talk about the Jets-Jags game, the outlook on Aaron Rodgers, the GM search, and we give a preview for the Rams and Jets game coming up this Sunday.
Hey, New York Jet fans from all around the world. Welcome to Laugh Through the Turbulence, a New York Jets podcast. The show that delivers you all your Jets content. Here are your hosts, John, Adam, and Monty. All the best to the New York Jet fans. Jets, 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 go Jets.
So it's such a good intro, and I got the music to come down after at the right tempo, just to keep it going.
Wasted on this fucking team, though.
Yeah. You think they're gonna bring back the song next year because they've only had it for these two Rodgers years, and we could, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's like I don't know.
It has to be a rock song. It has to be. I
don't know if they think, in terms of bad juju like we do as irrational fans. So I mean, we'll see what they do, but I don't know. I think it's a good song. I think there's no reason to not bring it back. I mean, it gets me hyped when I'm at the stadium.
It's a great song. First off, AC/DC's a top 10 band in my book for my taste, right?
Yep. And
I think in terms of all-time rock bands, they should just be in the Mount Rushmore, like hard rock bands for sure. Like them, Zeppelin. You could throw Metallica in there if you really want to.
Black Sabbath.
Yeah, I love Sabbath. They're my top three, but I don't think they deserve to be in that Mount Rushmore, right? And then I guess the other band would be like Queen.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Yeah, Queen
for hard rock. So no Rolling Stones.
Queen is definitely really beloved. So
yeah. Anyway. We won a fucking game this weekend, boys.
Yeah, baby. But it's like, it's just so hard to get hyped over wins because every win just fucks up our chances to get a better pick.
Yeah, all right, if they lost, you were going to say the same thing.
Yeah, but I mean,
no, if they lost, I'd be like, all right, I would be like, that sucks, but at least they're kind of doing what they're supposed to do.
I feel like in this draft, it's not like last year's draft, or the quarterbacks aren't great. So, I mean, I think for this draft in particular, it's more important to win games than it is to pick, 5th or 8th. I just think that, they'll get a quality player just like they did last year. Olu's looked amazing. So, I think that you can find a good player in this draft wherever they'll be picking. If there was a quarterback, then it might be different. But I'm not really high on Shedeur Sanders, not really high on Cam Ward, so we'll see.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of in the same boat with you. I actually don't think Hunter is going to be that good either. Like, I know people are like wowed at him, but he was a very high quality corner this year, right? Receiver, I thought the kid from San Diego State or whatever it was the better receiver and should have won the award. He had the Triple Crown.
Yeah, I think that Hunter, it's going to depend on if he'll take advice and focus on one position. If he thinks he can play both, I don't know how great his career will be. If he says, I'll be
in the NFL?
Yeah.
Oof, I mean, I think those days are over, man.
Well, I mean, he basically came out and said that he's going to demand to play both ways, offense and defense. Like, that's what he wants. But, he's got to take the advice of...
Does anyone in the league do that right now? I haven't heard anyone doing that in a while.
I mean, no. And also, you can do it if it's, a package here and there, right? But if he thinks he's going to be a starting receiver and a starting corner, like I don't know how that would work in the NFL.
Does anyone know the last guy to take, I think it's at least 10 snaps on both sides of the ball in a season?
10? I don't know. I would probably be able to guess the starter. I wouldn't be able to guess that. That's too obscure.
It's J.J. Watt.
Yeah, he did. What he did some snaps at receiver. He caught some touchdowns and stuff.
Yeah,
like
he
tight
did.
end. Well,
Tight
he
end.
was a tight end in college before he went to Wisconsin.
That's a
but-
tight end in college.
I mean, that dude was an athlete, man. So
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense.
It was if you played. Fuck it, let's go to fantasy. If you played IDPs, that was the guy to have.
Yeah.
Especially if you had a D line, because D line is really sack dependent, right?
Yeah, it's like him and Bobby Wagner every year.
Yeah, this year it's Roquan and Kyle Hamilton. They're just. But anyway, it's all right. So let's talk about the fucking game, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, offense looked fairly good. You know, Rodgers looked pretty much what you would hoped he would be, right?
Mhm.
Like with this team, but consistently all throughout. And like, I'm starting to get the feeling that the dude is getting healthy, you know. So, and maybe there is something to it in that Denver game, because that's kind of when the report was that he was getting kind of banged up in that game, as the pressure was really bad in that game. It was the first game Moses was not playing, right? Because he got hurt in the Pats game, right?
Right.
Olu had to play right tackle, and obviously Olu's been a great left tackle, but not a good any other position on the offensive line player, right?
Right.
Vikings game downhill. Salah gets fired. He actually looked pretty decent in the Bills game, right? Pittsburgh, the weird interceptions, you know.
Yeah. How about Adams with that touchdown pass?
Dude, Adams was a beast, and I think like Sunday really shows that like he's a guy you got to bring back.
Yeah, man. I was
Yeah.
just gonna say that you got him already. Like you gotta keep him around.
Yeah,
He's got over 650 yards and I think 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, no,
as
he's
a
been
Jet.
You extrapolate
really
that,
good.
that's 1,000. That's over
1,300,
1,000 and 10 touchdowns. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah. His
he's been
pace is
really good.
1,300 yards and like 100 catches and
Yeah,
10
and I think if
touchdowns.
you're a new GM, right, you want to start your tenure with as much talent as you can, and to have a guy like Devontae and Garrett, I mean, that's a top 5 wide receiver duo. You know, it's up there with. I mean, if you look at the Bengals, they're just going to have Jamar Chase. You look at a lot of other teams; they don't have 2 receivers like that.
Right.
So I think he's showing more and more that you got to bring him back. But I think, overall the offense was good. Sauce got a pick finally, so that at least happened. Now that is kind of like out of his mind. He hasn't had a pick in
He's
3
playing
years
better.
or
He's
whatever.
playing better. Like he's tackling well now.
Well,
Listen,
yeah.
it's what I said, it's what I said weeks ago whenever all these idiot fucking moron Jet fans, low IQ, low football IQ Jet fans out there were like, oh, we need to trade Sauce.
Right.
I was like, shut the fuck up. It's so stupid. Like, you got to replace Sauce with somebody if you get rid of him, right? So that means you got to get 2 first rounders for him. You need to get 1 to make the trade worth it and 1 to replace him. You're not going to probably get that. Maybe you would, maybe you would get it, but then you're not guaranteed to get another Sauce. Like the guy is an elite cover corner. Like he's just, is like the target rate when he's covering a receiver, it just drops to next to nothing. Like you can't pay for that. You can't put a price tag on that shit. Like Sauce is great.
He's been really hurt by bad safety play this year. He
looked like himself, and I love to see it. And we're gonna see more of it once we get some competent coaching back in the Jets locker room.
Well, I will say this. I mean, he looks always better when there's decent safety play. Isaiah Oliver actually had a really good game as well.
Yeah.
So Mills had a pick.
Adams had a good game too. Yeah, Mills came in periodically as the third safety kind of, but those guys were good, So like that does make a difference when your backup is doing, the guy behind you is doing your thing, right? So I mean, but now I guess let's go. So obviously the defense, that's fucking Mac Jones,
Trash.
man. Yeah,
we're ass, bro. We need to make some changes.
Reddick has been a non-factor, which is surprising, right? Because he's playing for a big contract he has a half sack on the season.
I'm glad. I hope he goes somewhere for fucking peanuts.
Yeah, no, and I hope he goes to, like a
Carolina or
Oakland. Like
Oakland. Quinn had a bad game too. Solomon Thomas had a bad game.
I think the
McDonald
defense,
was okay despite the 5 pressures,
Yeah, I think the problem for the defense is it's just going to be up and down because Ulbrich has to focus on the defense and being a head coach, right? So I think it's always going to be up and down. The attention to detail isn't always going to be there, that kind of stuff. So we'll see that for the next couple of games to end the season here. The offense is getting better. I wanted to ask you guys a question. What do you think about them scoring the touchdown at the end there? Mark Schlereth eviscerated them for scoring that touchdown, and I thought it was the right move.
Honestly, I'm going to say this right now. I didn't know Mark Schlereth actually did games until that game.
He's been doing it for years. Yeah.
Well, we're going to get the B squad commentating and
because he did get let go from ESPN a while ago, right? So this was So
we're always we get
that was the B squad, 100%.
We get the Z squad. Actually, that's what we deserve. In my opinion,
right, but at the same time,
I mean, look,
if you were so totally confident in your kicker, like not like going through these fucking things like that, like. Yeah,
bro, it's the wrong call no matter what. Like, if you play enough fucking Madden, if you just play Madden regularly, like, you don't need to be a football coach. You don't even need to be a Pop Warner League coach. If you just play Madden regularly enough, you know what the right call is. And the right call is not score the touchdown.
Maybe Brees didn't care. Maybe Brees didn't care,
Well, no, you know what it is, man? I wholeheartedly disagree, Monty. I think if you're tied or you're down, you score the touchdown, right? Because how many things can go wrong when you're taking knees, snap operation on the field goal kickers are finicky. Take the point, and you're playing against Mac Jones.
When your defense is playing the way our defense has played, and you already gave up 25 points that game, like.
You still roll the dice because you're playing against Mac Jones. Look, he threw a pick, right? So I just think that you got to score there, take the guaranteed points, and don't mess around. You mess that up, and then it doesn't work out.
I think coaches need to coach and play the game strategically. It's like a game of chess. It's not checkers. That is a checkers move. A chess move would be you drain the clock out. You get your kick at the end. You give them no time, and then you dare them to try to walk it down the field with no time left.
They also had 2 timeouts going into that drive.
Yeah, still. I mean, it's again
1 minute left. 1 minute, 1:05 was left on the clock when he scored.
To your point of it being Mac Jones, you want to give him as little time as possible. You don't want to give him a lot of time because the Jets have been known to blow these kinds of leads. How many games like this have we lost? Like, you can't trust the defense right now.
But you can't trust the kicker either. Right? Like you can't trust the kicker. You can't trust the operation. He missed a kick. I think it's if you can score, it's just like last year. Same thing happened when they were playing the Eagles. Brees scored the touchdown. Everyone said kick it. You should have taken the knee, went down, and they ended up winning that game too. So
it worked out. It worked out. I wouldn't eviscerate the Jets for it, but for me, I would just say it just speaks to, more poor coaching. I think that's poor coaching. I think most other coaches that are strategic coaches that have well-disciplined teams, that have teams with that are functioning at a dependable level, I think you don't go for that. Unless you're like Dan Campbell or something like that, that just is fucking got his fucking balls out all the time, no matter what.
That guy does is
I know.
Insane.
I love Man Campbell.
I really like him.
Campbell, but that's appropriate.
That is an appropriate name. He is the man.
Some of the. I mean, listen. Some of these 4th downs and not. It's gonna cost him.
It's like 4th and 3. Fuck it.
Yeah, you know what scared me the most was remember when he was an intern for the Dolphins and they started kind of doing their thing and I was like, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was
And- and
good.
They could have had him. They could have had him there.
Could have
Oof.
had him.
That would have been even worse.
didn't
Imagine
he
him
play
with
there
Tyreek
too?
and fucking Jesus Christ.
Think about that division at the time, because Belichick was also in the division at the time still.
Yeah.
Right? It was
Yeah.
Belichick, Man Campbell, and fucking the fucking guy who looks like he drinks milk at the end of the night. The Bills coach again. I keep forgetting his name.
I don't know.
Dermot.
Oh my God, yeah. Oh,
He does look like he drinks a tall glass of warm milk at the end of
better.
God, that looks that game so good.
That's a good looks like. You should do your looks like of like NFL coaches.
Yeah, it's better than just like sticking with players, right? Because they're all just fucking chiseled and whatever. But
right.
I could do. Well, I mean, Will McDonald, right? Just for instance, he does look like the guy who, if you see your ex-girlfriend with, you realize you're never gonna get her back.
And Andy,
that guy just looks like he fucks, dude.
And Andy Reid looks like the guy who wiggles his fingers and goes, "Don't mind if I do," and he's cracking food off of the the hors d'oeuvre trays that go by at a wedding. Yeah.
But anyway, so the one thing I thought that was really interesting after this was just everybody talking about Rodgers.
Yeah.
He looked like MVP Rodgers, right? Like scrambling, and he was our leading rusher. And like it's funny because like I watched a little bit of Asman this week and Beningo. I just kind of want to see the knee-jerk reaction of Beningo, basically, because that's what you always get.
That's what you get
like
from
a couple of weeks ago. He's like, you gotta get rid of him. And then he was just like, I don't want to go in a rebuild. Bring him back next year. It's like, what the fuck, man? Like, dude, these guys, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just so stupid how the sports media world is. It's not news anymore, you know? Mm-hmm. It's really not news. It's just entertainment now at this point, you know?
I mean, sports is entertainment, but at the same time, I get what you're saying. And it's like, because what it is like outrage and reaction and all that shit sells. Like if you don't have actual good content, like comedy or, thought-provoking shit or shit that actually is like explaining something or contributing something, then what do you have left? Oh, you got to just make people get pissed off, or you got to make people like get whatever all up in their feels. And that's why those things sell. No shade to Asman. I like his show a lot, but
Beningo I'm talking about right there.
But Beningo definitely thrives off of that. He's just like, but I love him too, because he's just like the angry old fucking your friend's angry old dad that's been a Jets fan for way too long and is just so burnt out and bitter and just like freaks the fuck out about everything. It's kind of entertaining, I can't lie. So I do watch his shit too.
Yeah, I think like, but back to your point, John, right? I think like that's kind of what sports media is now. It's instant reaction. It's hot takes. It's what can we rip a 35-second clip of, put it on social media and get a lot of likes and comments and all of that kind of stuff, right? Yep. So you're going to see that all the time, especially, Monty, like you said, from someone like Beningo, who's just his whole life he's been instant reaction,
Yeah.
Like he's the guy that like, he's a Met fan. He takes the temperature of the Mets after every single game. Game 1, fire everybody. Game 2, they're going to the World Series. There's 160 of these left, And that's kind of the guy he is, which is fine for him, but I think that the reaction to Rodgers, and I think every reaction has been coming with the caveat of, like John said, he looks healthy. He looks healthier. He's moving better, right? He's not moving like MVP Rodgers, but he's moving out of the pocket. He's taking yards when they're there, And also, I'll say, for the first time in a while, he looked like he was having fun. Yep. Right? Like he was smiling, he was jumping around, pointing first downs, all of that stuff. So, I think it's a really interesting conversation for next year, because it really is, what do you do with Rodgers? Right? On the one hand, if you bring him back, you need a guy like Vrabel that isn't just going to, bend the knee and do whatever Rodgers wants, right?
Right.
But you also want to be in a position to where, like we were saying, can you draft a quarterback to sit behind him for a year? what does that look like? Now a guy like Drew Aller is going back to Penn State. That was a guy that was linked to them, right? So it's like,
round,
it's a really.
But do you want another Penn State quarterback after the last one we drafted?
No, I'm not saying I want him. I'm just saying, like, in a thin quarterback class, the options are even dwindling, right? So it's like it's a tough thing to think about. 26 is going to be an interesting class. So maybe you roll with Rodgers for one more year, see what happens in 26. So I think there are a lot of options. And with Rodgers playing well, you feel better bringing him back, right? If this was Rodgers from 4 weeks ago, I don't know.
I just want to read where Aaron Rodgers ranks amongst people that have taken at least 270 dropbacks for PFF, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's 9th of 30 in passing grade, which is just behind Josh Allen, Darnold in the order of ascending. Darnold, Geno, Jaden Daniels, Derek Carr, Herbert, Burrow, Lamar. And he's ahead of the Stroud, Love, Baker, Kyler, Mahomes, Goff. In terms of the overall grade, because that entails the rushing component, all that, he's 10th because his rushing grade's actually pretty good. And it's just behind Mahomes. It's ahead of Purdy, Murray, Baker, Stroud, Love, and all that. So and these games up and down, right? Obviously. So they average him out to this, but like some of his games are super elite. Some of them are super bad. And the question is now, do you want to take that and roll with it next year? Now that maybe you have a little bit more comfort with this team, you have an O-line that seems to be right now because you're not going to bring Tyron Smith back, right?
Right.
Well,
and you got Garrett, you got Devontae, you got Brees, and the other running backs too, which
they all look good, man. They all look good.
They do. I like Davis, and that Davis and Braylon Allen combo was looking good the other day.
And Davis, was. He's just a football player, man. The guy plays special teams.
Such a
he
cliche
runs hard. Right. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. Like, he is so good.
Yeah,
he does a little bit of everything.
Yeah. So you're not gonna have Conklin next year, so you can go get a real.
They gotta rebuild that tight end
big time.
Yeah, because Rucker's a free agent. I don't want him back. Sorry, man.
Rucker won't be a free agent, but Rucker could be cut very easily.
So
he was a 4th round pick, isn't
he's year 3? He's year 3 of a 4-year deal.
Yeah, but back to Rodgers real quick. So, just to kind of add on to, kind of what you were talking about, just kind of stats wise. I mean, he's, over the whole season, he's 7th in passing touchdowns. He's 11th in total yards, 15th in air yards, 19th in passer rating, 22nd in INTs with 8. He's got 27th in yards per attempt. And he's actually 27th in rushing yards. He's got more than Jordan Love, surprisingly, though. He's 29th. Yeah, 29th in completion percentage of this is of people of QBs with over 100 attempts. So he's tied with Deshaun Watson and Mason Rudolph and Daniel Jones. But on the other hand, he is number 1 in the league in drops. Which, some of them might be his fault, maybe the way he's throwing, but being number 1 is probably not his fault, which also, oddly enough, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Jordan Love are all in the top 5. But in the past 4 weeks, he's 14th in touchdowns. He's 17th in pass yards, and that's just in the last 4 weeks. Now, you think about that, keep all that in mind, and then let's look at the free agents. We've got Tyrod on contract. He's on the roster. He's on contract for 1 more year. We've got Darnold, Fields, Russell Wilson, Mason Rudolph, Mac Jones, Jameis Wilson, Jacoby Brissett. That's pretty much who's likely to be available or possible to be available based on their contractual obligations right now. I don't know that, I want to pay Rodgers that much money. I don't know that he's that much better than replacement level. I don't see that these guys out there are definitely not like necessarily better than him, but like if we could somehow get like, Darnold for a good deal, I do that.
It's crazy.
Which is insane. It is insane right now.
Man, you never know. And but Gino is looking really bad right now.
Yeah, Gino's just not looking good, but Darnold still looks good. He's been played solid all year long. I trust his avability now with the right coach and the right situation. You have him walk on here with Garrett fucking Wilson and Devontae Adams and whoever they can get in there as a third with good coaching, good play calling, good play design. I like that option. You know what I mean? And I don't know if I need us to have Rodgers to come back just to tutor or show whoever it is that's waiting in the wings, how to play football. I don't know that we need that between, Tyrod and whoever else we can pull out of free agency, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you also got to look at the salary cap hit that Rodgers would entail for next year, right? That's the other key thing to the whole equation. It's really, I mean, obviously there's a lot of dead cap that gets pushed out beyond. It's a $23.5 million cap hit.
Yeah. But it screws up our future of our rebuild the longer we keep him.
It does, but the question is,
I'd rather eat the hit now. We can get some out of free agency, eat that hit now, pick someone up in the draft, and then push forward. I think right now we got to be thinking about the future and not about now, because the team's not going to win now.
If the defense fixes itself a little bit, can make a run.
But I think you have to look at also, right? A lot of this is, right, obviously speculation, especially based on the fact that we don't know who the GM is. We don't know who the head coach is. We don't know what they want to do, right? Yeah. Could a GM come in like McCagnon and say, I want to win right now and trade for Brandon Marshall and trade for Ryan Fitzpatrick, bring in veterans, right? Or is this going to be a GM, a head coach, and say, hey, listen, we got to tear this down and start from scratch. Rodgers is out. Tyrod is out. We'll bring in Justin Fields on a 1-year deal and draft a rookie, right? So I think there are a lot of unknowns until we know who the GM and head coach are. But with all of those names that you mentioned, I don't know, man. I think Rodgers would be the best bet. If he keeps playing like this.
If he's
Darnold's the only one that excited me there in that group, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned Jameis Winston does not. Darnold's the only one just because of what we saw this year.
Yeah.
But Vikings are a little bit different than everybody else. That offense is fucking complete.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah,
the line's good. They got Aaron Jones. They got Hawkinson back. And they got a wide receiver.
Our offense could be just as complete with the right coaching.
Yes, it could. They also have very good coaching too.
Yeah,
I think with good coaching, I think our offense could be nearly as complete as the Vikings is.
And the other question is, are the Vikings actually going to let that walk, even with McCarthy there and that uncertainty?
Yeah, I mean that's another thing, right? I mean, if
if Darnold goes far, there's no fucking way he gets let go.
Yeah. If they make it,
Jimmy Garoppolo, Trey Lance situation.
Yeah, you just got to roll with it.
That's what it exactly is.
Yeah.
It's replayed all over again. So I mean, listen, it could be, but I don't know. I'd rather I just don't see that much time out of Rodgers. I think he's banged up now. I think he's going to be banged up next year. I think, because you also got to look at best alternative, right? And not best alternative to Rodgers, but what's Rodgers' best alternative? Rodgers is not going to be on a team next year if he doesn't play for the Jets. I would bet that.
Wait,
who's going to pick up Rodgers if we let him go?
Dude, there's always some side. Look at the Raiders. If the Raiders can't find the Titans, right? There are teams out there that will say, "Let's bring him in for 1 year," especially if he finishes the year strong and he wants to play, right? I think the other thing from a fan perspective, also purely, is that if Rodgers leaves, I don't want a black hole at quarterback for a year, even for a year. I'm sick and tired of it. And so I think Rodgers might end up being the best bet to come back, give you another year, and then you take it from there, whether it's drafting someone in 2025, drafting someone in a strong quarterback class in 2026. The other piece of it is
Travis.
Douglas did a good enough job to where the only pick they don't have over these 2 years is the Reddick third rounder in 2026, right? So he's done a pretty good job of making sure that the draft, picks are intact. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I think you got to really, really think about bringing Rodgers back because, again, it also depends what we want, right? Are we going to say, what are we punting next year? Are we saying, I want to see a competitive team? That's the other thing that we really have to think about.
I don't think you could totally punt on next
That's
year.
what I'm saying. Because
there's too much talent. There's too much talent.
A lot of talent.
And also, if you punt on next year, Garrett's going to demand a trade. Sauce is going to demand a trade. Those dudes don't like losing, right? So, I mean, that's the whole thing. And you got to think about those guys also that they want to win. And players don't give a shit about rebuilding and working with a rookie quarterback. So it's a really interesting
I just want to do
decision.
this real quick. I just want to name the blue chip guys and the studs on the team. Blue chip is cream of the crop studs that are under contract for next year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you go on the offense, you got Garrett, you got Devontae, you got Brees, and you've got pretty much 4 guys in the offensive line that are studs or like starter worthy at least. And you might got a blue chip in fucking John Simpson right now.
No.
That's the offense, right? That's the offense. Your only real hole is the wide receiver 3 because Lazard's gone, right?
And
right tackle, you're gonna have to figure that out because
and tight end.
And tight end, right? Okay. And you got plenty of running backs, right? On the defensive side, you're gonna get Quinnen back. Hopefully, a better version of that with Jermaine paired up, right? Because that's really what you were missing there. And Will McDonald is Bryce Huff essentially at this point. He really is. He's got more sacks than Bryce Huff did last year. And, you basically have that. And you probably just need a D tackle to fill that, right? That's probably really all you need, right? A D tackle. And right now, the Jets might be primed to get the best D tackle.
Yeah, you can get Mason Graham. Like that's
Mason Graham.
Yeah, he's a beast. Yeah,
he's a beast, right? All right, linebacker. You're probably gonna have to stretch out Mosley again because you're gonna have some because they've just been doing that forever. You got Quincy under 1 more year. You're probably gonna re-sign Sherwood.
He's been amazing for that man. I really like him.
I'm very pleased with Sherwood.
All right, you've got Michael Carter and Sauce. And you're probably not going to get DJ Reed back unless he wants to come back, right? And
you'll have to take a discount, which I don't think he'll do.
Yeah, and then safety, because I'm not that confident in Tony Adams anymore, and Chuck Clark definitely not.
I would look to bring Mills back though. He get as your third safety. He's somebody that I think has been playing well for them, and he's really good, man. I would like to bring him back. And then, but you got to rebuild the starting safeties, I think.
Absolutely. Safety's been a concern on this defensive unit since the offseason, since last year, really. It wasn't fixed this year. And then, I don't know. I'm not confident.
But he was, I guess, better than we thought, right?
Well, I think it's so funny, right?
Tony Adams, right? That was decent enough. Tony Adams was a much better player with Whitehead there commanding the backfield.
Correct.
They only have 1 safety under contract for next year, actually.
Because we need to switch them out.
I keep going back to like the funniest thing the Jets did, right? When the Cagnon drafted Jamal Adams and Marcus May in the first and second round, 2 safeties, and now the Jets' weakest position on the defense is safety. Like it's amazing. Like those 2 should be in the prime of their careers, taking care of the back end of that. And it just turned into a disaster. So now it's like now they have to rebuild it again.
Yeah. Marcus May was a little bit on the older side though when he came in. I don't know if you remember that. He was like 24 already.
Yeah, he was a little bit older. I think
he would have been like 30 right now.
Yeah, right in his prime.
Still, that's not bad.
Yeah,
30 at a safety is not bad.
It's kind of amazing. That was arguably that was the best safety duo in the league in their second year. Right?
They were so good.
And they're not even starters anymore.
No,
that's just the NFL right there.
Yeah, the NFL, it's crazy, but
it's cutthroat, it's competitive, man. It's It's tough.
Crazy. That is crazy. Okay, so I guess part of this conversation that we talked about with Rodgers kind of leads to our new topic that we want to talk about, because you guys didn't watch the Sack Exchange. Everyone go watch it, and we'll talk about it next episode. But the GM search. So they've been taking interviews on Robinson and Dimitroff. Robinson was the Titans GM. He started there in 2016, I want to say. And basically 2022, he was out the same year Vrabel was out. Is that right? Or 2020? Yeah, he got canned the year before they drafted Levis. And that season, if you guys remember, Tannehill got hurt. And that basically just caved the whole offense. And they were like basically a 500 team at that time. He never had worse than an 8-8 record except for that last year, but obviously he was canned at 7-7, so technically he's never been under 500. And they were solid. You know, Tannehill was serviceable. They drafted guys like Derrick Henry, Jack Conklin, obviously AJ Brown, also a dud on Corey Davis. Every GM's gonna have hit and misses, but that's one situation there. And then Dimitroff's the other one, who basically helped the Falcons get to the Super Bowl and built maybe arguably the greatest coaching staff that never won a Super Bowl. If you look at that coaching staff that the Falcons had that lost to the Patriots, they had someone read it off. It's Dan Quinn, right? Shanahan, right? It's fucking, I think Sean McVay was on that staff too. If I could be wrong, I could be wrong on that. That coaching staff was fucking ridiculous. Someone but yeah, talk it out, guys, as I pull it up, because I need to pull it up.
Yeah, I think out of those two guys, I look at Dimitroff, right? He built that Falcons Super Bowl team that unfortunately lost to the Patriots. You know, he's won 2 Super Bowls with the Patriots. So he has a lot of GM experience. He also has scouting experience. So he's kind of the total package. Now, the other piece of it is he hasn't been in the NFL in a few years. So that's a little bit concerning as to why he hasn't gotten a job since he was fired to now. But he's the one that's kind of intriguing to me. I think the other piece of it, though, is the Jets can't interview any candidates that are on teams right now until the season ends. Exactly. So that's going to push this back,
Yeah, but it is good. Woody did get out ahead of it, and we've got 2 interviews down with, in my opinion, 2 solid candidates. I mean, both these guys are or at least have been winners. They have built squads that have been, pretty impressive. Like Robinson came on the team. They were 3-13. Those Titans, and then he got them to they were 9-7 every single year like clockwork, making the playoffs, divisionals twice, made it to a conference championship game. I mean, yeah, he's got a terrible haircut, but I think Robinson is also a solid pick. I think you could do a lot worse than both of these guys.
Yeah, let me read off this coaching staff for Atlanta, because it's actually fucking ridiculous, and I've always remembered it. Dan Quinn.
Yeah.
Your assistant head coach and wide receiver coach was Raheem Morris, who's now the coach of the Falcons.
Yeah. Yes, Raheem Morris. Yep.
Okay, you got Shanahan was your offensive coordinator. You also had Matt LaFleur as the quarterback's coach and Mike LaFleur as the offensive assistant.
Come on.
Hang on. You also had Mike McDaniel as an offensive assistant.
Yeah, McDaniels was on that team. That's right. McDaniels on that team.
I haven't even gotten to the defense yet, right? And then you also have I guess Chris Morgan. Okay, you also had Keith Carter, which is really funny.
That's Monty's boy.
Okay.
Monty loves Keith Carter.
He was the weak link. That's why they didn't win the fucking Super Bowl.
Yeah, no. Okay, you also had Jeff Ulbrich was a linebackers coach. Richard Smith, which is interesting in itself. He's not really coaching anymore. And I guess Brian Cox was the defensive line coach, which is also because which is really interesting too, because he was a Pro Bowler back in the day.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fucking squad.
I mean,
it's just like a fucking assistant by fucking doing errands,
Dude, it's just crazy that with all that offensive brain power, they couldn't run out the clock at the end of the game. It's unbelievable to me that they lost that game.
Blew a 25-point lead, right?
28-3.
Yeah.
Fucking voodoo there. But okay. But anyway, sorry, I got really focused on Atlanta Falcons coaching staff because I've always known it to be like fucking ridiculous staff. But maybe that's the guy you fucking get, Dimitrov, just because he's able to assemble a fucking squad of coaches like that, and that's what you fucking need now.
Right. I mean, it's that, and also the thing I loved about it is like how aggressive he was to trade up for Julio Jones. That was back when teams weren't trading up for wide receivers, and he ended up being one of the best. So
Julio Jones was amazing.
Yeah, so I kind of want a GM that's going to be aggressive as opposed to like the slow playing, smartest guy in the room, Joe Douglas.
I just want more experience this time around. I think, Saleh, he was good, but he wasn't experienced as a head coach, and it showed very often to me.
Yeah.
Just like Ulbrich is not experienced, even less so than Saleh, and it's showing every game.
Showing even more so now.
Yes.
Albert can't do both. I mean, obviously, since he's slept off, if you look at the defense, like it's just cliff.
Yeah,
cliff.
trying to.
That's the biggest problem with the defense right now is that you don't have Ulbrich just focused on that, and then Saleh to be like, this is what that needs to go down there. Because at least say what you want about Saleh, like that guy knew defense.
No,
right?
Absolutely.
Right.
That's his,
and that's a big
defense,
reason. And that's a big reason the defense hasn't been playing. That's one thing we didn't talk about in why the defense has been sucking is those guys loved Saleh, man.
Yeah.
Like I think it really deflated them. Like Sauce, especially. Like a lot of these guys were like very like I saw and there was an interview. Sauce had an interview right after Saleh got fired and talked about his reaction to it. You could tell he was kind of downplaying the reaction, but like those guys really like that was their fearless leader on defense, and he was gone, and they kind of took the life with him.
And think about it also, right? Like he was the guy that got on the phone with all of them when they were drafted, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like he was the guy that was there from the beginning of their NFL journey, and they all loved him. And it just, he left, and I think it just took all the oxygen out of the room.
Yeah.
I remember watching rewatching the One Jets drive when they were able to trade up for Jermaine and Saleh going, JJ, you remember what we talked about? Like we had you in the top 10. We didn't think you'd be there.
Yeah.
Came up to get you. It's just fuck. That was such a good draft, man. I knew it right then on the spot too in the first round. I remember I smacked Michelle Murray's ass so fucking hard the whole bar heard it. When they did that because I didn't. As crazy as it sounds, I didn't want Sauce at the time because I was like, we're ready at corner. Already,
I did.
Right?
I did. Yep.
I thought edge and wide receiver were the biggest needs. They were the biggest needs in that draft. Corner was a luxury at that time, right?
Yeah, but I'm glad they did it.
We wanted either Sauce or Hutchinson. I was with you. I was with you at O'Hanlon.
Thibodeau was the backup because he was such a freak.
Yeah, Thibodeau too, right? Yeah, Thibodeau, Hutchinson, and Sauce were kind of.
I was hoping Aiden Hutchinson would fall, but I was also like, man, and he's been really good this year. But Derek,
besides the injury, he would have been depoy.
Yeah, well, Derek Stingley went before him. Went before Sauce, right? Corner went before Sauce. But dude, Stingley was hurt in college, but man, his freshman year, and he's been incredible this year.
That first year.
But to get Sauce there, and then I wanted Garrett at 10. Like I was excited that they took him out of all the receiver options. And then I remember the day of the draft, Sal Palantonio was on, I forget if it was WFAN or ESPN radio, and he was saying that the Jets were thinking about taking Jermaine Johnson at 4. That's how much they loved him. So being able to get him where they got him, I mean, that draft is just like all time, right? And now it's going to come to fruition.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? You see that Aiden Hutchinson's trying to get back for the Super Bowl.
He said if they go to the Super Bowl, he'll be back. That's what he said.
God, I like it. And by the way, his mom is fucking hot, but that's another discussion, man. He's here on draft day, dude. Holy shit.
Yeah, I didn't, but
okay. Just Google it. If you're on YouTube watching us, you probably have 2 thumbs that can listen to us at the same time and check out Aiden Hutchinson's mom. I'll do the thought process. All right, let's see Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah, let's.
John was right. Damn.
Let's be respectful of people's moms. I think that's this isn't kind of the show that we want to have. So I'll apologize on
John.
You know, for
All right,
being
but real
inappropriate.
quick, if you had to pick between Robinson and Dimitrov, we're going Dimitrov, right?
I would say Dimitrov. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to go Dimitrov. But again, both those guys are good in my opinion. I think they're both capable and have proven that they can build and have built good teams. So, you know, I don't love the idea of another Falcons reject though, or cast off or whatever you want to say. Like, I just
because of Ulbrich.
Well, no, because of Keith Carter and because of
Ulbrich too.
Yeah, Ulbrich too. But yeah, I don't know too much. I don't like to pull too much from one team that didn't win.
Look, Keith Carter was also with the Titans, and if you go Vrabel, he was with the right. Like John Robinson was with the Titans. Yeah. So you know, I think I don't really care about that too much.
I don't want to be the.
You got to figure if whoever GM comes in, it's a totally fresh coaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Middleton comes back, but really tight ends coach that, you know, I know we like him because he's like him, you know, but like, you know, Conklin, Rutger, that's not real. I mean, Yeboah.
Wasn't there some beef or bad blood between Robinson and Vrabel though?
There was.
I said no. I proved that to you guys that basically they were in the decision together with AJ Brown. We talked.
Someone was saying that when they traded AJ Brown, Robinson did it without even kind of discussing it with Vrabel. But then Vrabel had a quote where he said he understood the process, had no problem with it. So you know, I don't think that would be an issue. I think
might be just him. That might just be him being a professional, though.
I mean, it could be, right?
Came out almost a year later, though.
But I think the other piece of it, too, right, is we also will, you know, in a couple of weeks after the season's over, do a little bit of a deep dive into these GM candidates that are currently on teams, right? But kind of the issue also becomes, like, can you wait for someone from the Chiefs or the Lions, or, you know, you're going to wait until mid-February if you want somebody from a Super Bowl team, right? So, you know, I think that it's going to be really interesting how they go through this search. I do really want someone, if it's going to be an existing person, somebody from, like, I don't want someone from the Raiders, right? Or someone from the Panthers.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like when McCagnon came over from the Texans were, I don't think they were very good at that point, right? So like I want someone from a successful organization or one of these guys with a lot of experience.
I want both of those things. And I think both of those things are available. I think Dimitrov is one of those guys. He had a successful, you know, obviously until they weren't, but for the most part, they were successful. And John Robinson, I think the Titans were successful mostly under him. I just don't want too much from one. Like if we get Robinson, I don't also want Vrabel. Like I want, you know, if we get Dimitrov, then yeah, get Vrabel. I don't know. I don't want too much of like what some other team had, you know, that didn't work.
I don't know, man. Vrabel's the best coach out there. You can't, you know, he's everything that the Jets need in terms of, you know, stability and experience.
But name a time that's ever happened. When has a GM and a coach from another team gone somewhere else and done better than where they were at originally?
Hey, listen, if you give me what they did with the Titans, they got to an AFC Championship game with Ryan Tannehill, right? Mm-hmm. You give me that, you know, I think we're off to a good start. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think it would be a bigger deal if they weren't successful at all, right? Like if you were like, oh, let's bring in, you know, Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco after they get fired. Then I think that's a disaster. But if they've had success together, you know.
I mean, you know, fucking Hackett and Rodgers have had success together. You know what I'm saying? Like bringing things that worked somewhere else don't necessarily mean they work at a later point. Well, I like it to keep it somewhat fresh.
Well, yeah, I think they'll do that, right? And it all depends. I mean, look, if they bring in Dimitrov and then they go, you know, Vrabel, I think they're fine. But I don't.
Yeah, that's kind of that's what I would want.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. That isn't a big deal to me, but Lot of interviews are going to happen between now and the middle of January. So we'll have a lot to talk about on this.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess we can go to our next topic, right? This would be the Rams at Jets game. Monty, you're still coming with me to that game?
Yes, I believe so.
Oh, okay. It's gonna be fucking cold. It's gonna be fucking cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're gonna see me in my starter jacket and my black pants. Actually, it's gonna be cold, but all right, we're gonna go. We have extra tickets if Britt wants to come, but
Probably not. She likes to watch
our games at night. So
yeah, but she likes watching a winning team, which is the
and
Packers.
you can't.
I can't.
Winning the division. Rams could win the division.
I can't put her through that.
Yeah. But I mean, this game's gonna be so fucking interesting. Like, just because it's first off, it's West Coast going, East Coast playing at 1:00, which is always fucking interesting, right?
Right. And it doesn't work out well for the traveling team.
Yeah, it's always the massive wild card game. You know what's crazy about the Rams too? They have a minus 28 point differential, and they're 8-6.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had some interesting wins. I mean, they beat Buffalo, right, with a crazy game, and then they played just a disgusting game against the Niners, but they won. They're just one of those teams, man. They're so well coached. I mean, you're just going to see a team with McVay, and you just see the value of coaching in person. It's going to be something to see for sure.
Yeah, and they lost the Dolphins too.
Yeah, weirdly enough.
Well, it was Tua was back though at that time. They beat the Vikings.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has weird losses, right? I mean,
yeah, but they have a lot of weird wins.
They were 1-4, and now they're 8-6.
Yeah, they got banged up. So many guys were injured, and then they came back, and they
yeah.
They're still pretty banged up. They got a lot of guys down, but their guys are, their guys that are down now are kind of more backup guys.
Right.
They're not really the star, just Tyler Higbee, really. But their QB's out. I mean, their CB's out. Kobe Durant.
Yeah. You guys know what the spread is without looking?
Oof.
Rams giving 4.5.
7.
You said 7 and you said 4.5. No, it's 3. 4.5 was close, but
3. Okay,
3.
Yeah,
it's because they're counting all of the travel, the 1:00 start, all of those things factor into it.
Yeah, but they're a lot better of a team right now, and they're a lot better coached. I don't think that 3 is a good number for that.
They are. I will credit them. I think Verse is going to get the depoy though.
He's been excellent.
He is.
And then they also drafted Braden Fisk. They're young guys.
We talked about those guys too. We talked about those guys during our fucking draft preview, right? Yeah. We were like, those are the best. That would have been the duo, right? And
you think there's a remote possibility that game really stays within 3.5, 4 points?
As stupid as it sounds, the Jets, I think. It's hard to say. I think offensively, who knows what you're going to get out of our offense, Who knows? I mean, you could get a really good offensive performance again from us.
Mm-hmm.
I
mean, listen, they'll put up 24 points, fine. Pretty much guaranteed now. But
I mean,
the Rams might drop 40 on us, bro.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at we put up 20 since the Cardinals game, right? 27, 21, 26, and 32 points. So I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I know we can score, but I'm saying that the Rams can score also, and they can score better than we can.
Yes, they can.
They can score better than we can.
I don't know. It's kind of simple math for me. I see
Yeah, I think, and with the way the defense has been playing, if the offense sputters at all, it could be 17-0 by the middle of the second quarter.
To me, I see a score similar to how we beat the Jags this past week. like a 32-25, 30 whatever, 30, you know what I mean? Like definitely significantly more than 3 points.
I just
think
want to
three
play
is
the game. How much do you think Puka's making this year?
Nothing.
not enough.
He's on the second year of a what? Fifth
Not
round
Your
contract.
contract, yeah, 976 grand.
Oh,
He's
imagine that.
Good, and Cooper Cup is really good too, man.
No,
Yeah.
he is, and they just find ways. Kyron Williams is a beast. You know, they just find ways to get these guys active. And I think one of the things they're gonna do, what they're really good at, it's what Miami did. It's what Jacksonville tried to do. They're just gonna screen the Jets to death, and Puka is gonna, average 17 yards of reception. I think it's going to be a really tough one for them.
You know what? Here's something really crazy about the Rams. So this is something that's fucking interesting. They're if you go down the roster of their cap, right, where they allocate their cap, right? Obviously, Stafford and Cup are 1 and 2 on their cap hits. After that, it's Haverstein, Jackson, Dotson, and Noteboom, which are 4 of their starters on the offensive line. And then Avila is like 13th highest cap hit. But per PFF, fuck it, right? They have the 31st worst pass blocking unit, right? Which is so fucking weird. But run blocking, they're 6th.
Yeah.
It's just
That's insane.
And the thing is, right, is people kind of forget that Sean McVay is a run-first coach. It's a run-first offense. We see Puka and Cooper Kupp doing all these things, but they love to run the ball. And with Kyron Williams, and then you also have Blake Corum, who's coming on a little bit. They have good running backs and a good offensive line, and I just don't know if that Jets defensive line is going to be able to hold up in that running game either.
I have no idea what's going to happen in that game. I mean, this could be a trap game for either side. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I don't think the Jets have any trap games, right? It's a trap game for the Rams for sure.
Yeah, but like
it'll be another good.
The Rodgers effect kind of does something to the betting market. You know what I mean? Like, what's the trend line, if that makes sense, right?
It'll be another good Rodgers Jets offense performance where he tries to save his, dwindling career and make sure he has a job next year, and he'll look good. The offense will look good, and that'll be about it. And we'll get beat by like a touchdown. Yeah. So what?
Yeah.
All right. So you guys have the Rams, right?
Yeah. 31-24.
Yeah, it's gonna be close. It's gonna be. It could be a.
I think I'm gonna say.
I mean, I will say this though: our corners, like, if they show up, right, going against Puka and Cooper, like, Reed and Sauce. I mean, that's as good as a group.
Yeah,
to cover those two.
But it's gonna be a tough day, man.
But I just think McVay knows that, and he'll scheme them open. He'll make sure that
a lot of it, right? Yeah.
He'll make sure Kupp ends up on a safety. He'll make sure Puka, is always running with a full head of steam right at Sauce. Like, he'll scheme it.
I feel like Sauce is a little susceptible to a good double move, and Cooper Kupp has a great double move.
God, both of them have phenomenal footwork.
No, they're really good, man. They're really good.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be a challenge. And even though they don't have big name tight ends, they always seem to make 1 or 2 big plays every game. Like Colby Parkinson, like these guys, they just Tutu Atwell at wide receiver. Like, they just have weapons everywhere that you don't think of.
And they have good coaching.
I love
really good coaching.
I love McVay. Actually, the funniest thing I loved about McVay, my all-time McVay thing, right, is when they were talking about drafting Cole Strange or whatever it was. Like, we had him as a 3rd rounder.
Oh yeah. When they were interviewed him and Les Snead, I remember he was like, "Whoa!" I remember they saw it live, and Les Snead was like, "Yo, Cole Strange just got picked." And they were like, "What?" I was like, "That is awesome."
But they do something that's really interesting, and they're really big in analytics. And actually, I forgot. I think I did send this, and I should have said this about Dimitrov, that he is part of a group that does NFL analytics right now.
And you know what? Also, John, on
and
that
I love
note,
that shit.
when Robinson was with the Titans, they were one of the least analytical teams in the NFL. So that's kind of a thing to look at as well, like another kind of box that Dimitrov checks off.
Yeah, I love it. I love the analytics guys, man. Like I wrote a Python script to fucking forecast out my fantasy football picks for this year. Basically, I took like 5 years back of data and I put it into a Python script, and I had it kind of project out like who would be some of the best people, and it helped me out. Like, I mean, I targeted Montgomery because of that, and he was great until he just got his.
Speaking of Montgomery, did you see his over/under prop?
Yeah, he just missed it by half a yard.
By half yard. That is crazy.
Crazy. The other crazy thing. Wait, question for you, Monty. Did you draft Mike Evans at all this year in any of your leagues?
I did not draft any Mike Evans. No,
okay.
He was on the list of guys that I should draft, but he didn't like fall to me.
And you were too sour over last year's bet we had with Ayuk and him.
No, I would have drafted him this year. I think he's solid.
Are you in? How many leagues are you in? I'm just curious.
Just 2 this year. Usually I'm in 3.
How many playoffs are you still in?
Both.
Nice.
I got the bye week in one, and I just won the other one, but I lost Montgomery, so I'm probably gonna lose next week.
Yeah, I'm 3 of 4 right now. The one that didn't make the playoffs, I just got banged up with so many fucking injuries. I could have had Jamar Chase and Derrick Henry as my combo, but I had Jamar Chase and Pacheco, and that did not work out.
I have Pacheco on the same team with Montgomery. I have Pacheco and Dobbins.
Yeah, also had Pittman get hurt, Olave get hurt, Kenneth Walker get hurt, like so much. But I have 2 teams that made the 1 seed, and this one team I just had, it just advanced, and I was the 1 seed for such a long time. But there's 2 teams in there that are just fucking insane. Yeah. All right, you know what? I'm gonna just say the Jets fucking win because it's the fucking Jets, right? We're gonna get back to 7-10. That's just nuts. Like, wouldn't that be the most ironic thing? We go 7-10 3 years in a fucking row.
Yeah, and fire everybody, get everybody out. Still,
they're gonna go 7-10. Then we're not gonna know what the fuck to do. You know what I mean? Like, and like, you know what could fucking happen? Albert comes back again, then we go 7-10 the next year too.
Oh Jesus Christ! Don't say that out loud.
That's the most best thing to fucking happen, though, right? That's gonna happen. You know I'm right. They're going to beat the fucking Rams. They're going to beat the Bills in Buffalo, which is going to shock everybody, right? Yeah. And then they're going to beat the shit out of the Dolphins. And we're going to go into next year thinking we got it. We're going to be fucking Super Bowl propped up.
Well, we might beat the Bills in Buffalo just because it's the end of the season.
And then we're going to fucking shit the bed again.
Yeah. It's the end. It's the end of the season. They don't have to play their starters against us. So.
Yeah.
It all depends, man. It depends if they're if they don't have anything locked up, if they can get that 1 seed, they might.
They can't. They're too far away from the 1 seed, in my opinion.
With the Bills?
Yeah.
2 games back. KC. Well, Mahomes is beat up.
Yeah, Mahomes is banged up.
That's actually. They got to play Pittsburgh in 2 weeks too. Like they ain't gonna fucking do that to Mahomes. Like put him back that fast. All right. Anyway.
Interesting.
Yeah. Final thoughts. Go ahead, Monty.
Well, I mean, it's just it's going to be another game that I want to care about, but I just can't because none of them matter anymore. It's just I wanted us like Salah said, playing meaningful games in December, and we're not. So it's a little disappointing, but I am a little bit excited. Again, because I feel that these GM candidates so far already have been good, positive candidates, guys that, you could do a lot worse than that. I think, have that record of winning and putting together good teams. And so that's encouraging. It's not like, we're moving away from these guys that we're taking chances on who, haven't done it before. And sure, you can hit on a diamond in the rough with those guys, but let's go with a little bit more proven of a vibe with our coaching and with our GM and our leadership in general. Let Woody be the only idiot in that whole in the office, and I think we can do okay from there. This week's going to be another challenge, to put it mildly. As for Rodgers, I don't want to back. I think I'm done with that. I think that experiment's been a bust. I think it's too little, too late with his little comeback at the end of the year. I get that he's hurt, but he's old, and it's going to happen again. I saw a poll recently where it was like, are you definitely like basically it was like, do you definitely want him back? Do you definitely not want him back? Or like, are you open to like your mind being changed? And I think it was like
Buffalo Jet, right?
yeah. That's who it was. That's who it was. And I think it was like 50%. 50% was like, nah, we don't want him back. And then it was like 25 off the other two options. So I think I kind of agree with the crowd on this one. I think it's time for his ass to go. I think it's time for him to ride off in the sunset, just enjoy retirement. I don't really see him being on any other teams if he doesn't end up being re-signed or if he ends up being released or whatever by the Jets. So I think that tells me that it's time for him to go. I think the Green Bay Packers moved on from him at the right time, like they usually do. I think they've got that down to a science. I trust them more than I trust our management. So, I think that it's time for us to move away from Rodgers and let's start looking into the future of what we want to do at that position, be it, like Tyrod and two rookies or, Sam Darnold and Tyrod. And then, we draft someone else and, see, how Jordan Travis is doing, whatever we got to do. But I think we gotta make some moves there and keep the wheels going, and we'll see what the future holds for us. But it looks like the Jets have a good chance, but it's like it's the fucking Jets. Like, are we just gonna screw it up again, or can we actually take advantage of this talent? So time will tell, and we'll see how this game plays out this weekend.
Go ahead, none.
Yeah, I think it's another Christmas, right, where we're more excited about the GM search and the draft than we are about actually winning games and watching a good team, right? And so I think that's just a frustrating thing. Never thought this is where we would be in August, right? So definitely a disappointing season. This game is just, I think it's going to end up being a bloodbath. I know I said 4.5, but the more and more I think about it, I think has like 31-10 Rams written all over it. I'm excited to see who they're going to interview in the next few weeks. See what other guys are going to kick the tires on. I think it'll get really interesting, as I said earlier, when they're finally able to interview team or candidates from teams that are currently, still playing. That'll be in January, and we'll kind of see what happens there. But yeah, I think it'll be a bloodbath of a game, and we'll have more GM content for you next week because that's kind of the only interesting thing we got going.
Zach Exchange documentary as well.
There you go.
Okay. I'm going to say this right now. The Jets win these next 3 games, right? Which would be so fitting for this season, right? To just wrap up this fucking season. 7-10, give us fucking hope and all that. All regular season tickets. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'll get suckered into it again. The next year, it'll be the same fucking crap again in some capacity, and I'll be disappointed. I'll fucking hate myself again.
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna be.
I know you're just itching to do it. Sorry to jump.
I know. I love those tickets. At the same time, I hate them though. But also, if they win the next 3 games, I'm gonna probably end up betting the Jets every fucking week anyway, and just like making enough money to fucking pay for those tickets, right? Just kind of how that's gonna work, I think they fucking win this game. It's fuck. I don't know what it is. There's just something weird about this fucking team. There's just so much fucking talent on this fucking team. They have more talent than the Rams team does, right? They do, but the Rams are obviously outperforming everything, right? Like, I think the Rams are already they already beat their win total for the year, which is just fucking phenomenally weird, right? And I will say this. Stafford, Rodgers, that's a fucking good QB duo to watch, just slinging the fucking ball, right? Like, I mean, those two are Hall of Famers at this point, right? They're the only, besides Mahomes, and I guess we could say Lamar will eventually be one because he's got too many MVPs right now, right? To not be a Hall of Famer. Those are the only two active quarterbacks that are definitely getting the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Mahomes will, right? There's no question, right? But he's not even over 30 yet, right?
Crazy.
That is it's crazy that he has more 12-win seasons than like pretty much every quarterback outside of fucking like Manning and Brady, right? Yeah. More than Elway. It's fucking nuts. And
with arguably less receiving talent.
Yeah, I mean, they're not winning it with offense this year. I don't know. Like, this has just been such a weird fucking season. It's been such a gut punch this whole season. And we're back just not knowing. It's going to be interesting what the GM search does, right? That's just going to tell the whole story of what the plan is, right? Because they're going to have a plan fast, right? I don't think you could draft a quarterback. Because you're not gonna get Cam Ward and Sanders, and I still have question marks on them. I don't think they're real first round talents. I don't think they're cream of the crop first round talents. Maybe back of the first round talent, but because it's quarterback, they're gonna go for 1 and 2. And there's no way the Raiders and Giants are not gonna pass up on either of those guys, right? At this point.
Oh yeah, absolutely right. Yeah.
So it's like, like do you draft second round quarterbacks? That's pretty much what you're looking at, right? I like that Jackson Dart kid though. I just don't know. I'm so uncertain. I mean, I'm even reconsidering fucking getting my tickets back, and they will be available. There's no fucking way they're not available. No one was like, oh, the Jags, they beat the Jags. I'm gonna get season tickets for next year. No one's doing that right now. You know what I mean? Except for my dumb ass, because I'm a fucking idiot. Anyway, glad the Dolphins fucking lost this weekend. Yeah.
Tua look like garbage.
And on that note,
fuck the Dolphins. Fuck the Dolphins. Fuck the Dolphins. I know I should change this to the Bills and all that.
Nah. You know what? It's still fuck the Dolphins because the Bills are a great team.
Kind of want to see. Yeah, Allen should be the MVP.
Yeah, but the Dolphins they're still assholes with those fucking fans that think they're better than us somehow, and they're going to be on the couch right next to us in a month.
Yeah. Go Jets, and thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Don't be an asshole. Buy the swag. If you haven't bought the swag, Monty and Adnan.
Peace.
Laugh Through the Turbulence swag is now live and ready to make you look as good as Aaron Rodgers throwing a deep ball. Click in the bio to find out where to buy it. Get yours today and rep the green and white in style. And remember, wearing this swag doesn't make you look awesome. Actually, it increases our odds of the Jets winning. Well, maybe not, but it can't hurt to say that, right? Made probably from the finest child sweatshops from around the world that we do not endorse but still appreciate. Buy our swag today. We're giving you free content. Now it's time to empty your pockets and buy the stuff you don't need. Don't have a job? Well, you've got a kidney, right? Sell it and buy our swag. See if that's this old lady with a purse? Take her purse and pawn it and use the money to buy our swag. Got some money tucked away for your kid's college fund? Empty the account and buy our swag because your kid is just going to waste that money on a gender studies major anyway. Buy our fucking swag, dude!